Good morning and welcome to the Audiophile Roundtable. It's going to win today, guys. Thank you for joining. I'm Steve Westman. Welcome back. This morning's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be diving into the latest from Rhino Hi-Fi, including what some folks call, I don't know, I'm not going to use the word, but straight up addiction if you're a tape lover, reel-to-reel tape lover. We're also going to be talking about the new reissue, the Analogue Productions reissue of Miles Davis Kind of Blue, the speed-corrected version, which is being reissued. I think in blue vinyl, 1500 is being pressed, and it's a 33 RPM, and the fourth side is 45 RPM. So I know some of my guests want to talk about that. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in my guests. We have Mazzy, Michael T. Jefferson for Tubelandia, bringing it for the next hour or so. Let's bring them all in. Gentlemen, welcome. Hello.
Good morning.
So that's the intro. You sort of know what we're talking about today. I know a lot were like, oh, this tape thing from Rhino Hi-Fi. Well, yeah, it's true. Electric Warrior will be coming out as a 33 RPM LP in December with another release as well through Rhino Hi-Fi. That's true. There's been some reviews already from that listening party of the Yes album and the Electric Warrior reel-to-reel album. I want to get my tape experts talking about that as well. So who wants to start? I think we can get into let's get into the Rhino Hi-Fi stuff first. We'll start with Mazzy. Your thoughts on that, and then I'll.
Well, I'm probably the odd man out in terms of the tape thing.
I'm with you. I'm not going down that. I'm not going down that road.
However, all the power to it. Now, you know me. I do these deep dives, unfortunately or fortunately, into the Hoffman forums, and some people's heads are exploding. They think that the Rhinos lost their way. They're taking the detour. Like, all the power to them. Now, again, I'm not the audience. Doing 500 copies, I think, it seems like a good amount. And it seems like the price point, $300 is crazy, but I think $150 box is crazy too. So, but it's cheap compared to the equivalent, at least. And I'm sure Jefferson will talk about, are they equivalent or not? The $450 ones that you get from Acoustic Sounds and a few other places. It is a niche market. I'm actually just surprised that Rhino felt that they wanted to even go into this market. It just seems like a strange thing for something like them to do. You think that would be a third party type of like electric recording company type of thing, version of that. But I don't usually read reviews of things that I'm going to talk about. But since I'm not going to like do any kind of video on the reels, I did read Malachi's review on Tracking Angle and so it made me pull out my three Electric Warriors. And when we get into the music later, I want to talk about that because he said a couple things that make sense, but when you play the copy, so I'll wait for that.
Yeah. Well, one thing I will say, I know Rhino being Rhino Hi-Fi, they're trying to get to the entire high fidelity market, the audiophile market. So that makes sense. They have the capabilities of doing reel to reel. Why not try it? Limited run, right? So it's 500 tapes per album. And I think they're just going to check it out. I know talking to Patrick Milligan last night, they're more than happy with the sales of those tapes so far. I mean, obviously not sold out, but better than they thought. Just so everyone knows.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're very happy with it. It's an experiment. I think they're trying to figure out, okay, is there a market for this? And if so, let's just put these two out, see how it goes, which they have. And there's another album lined up next year if this one sells well. Very nice. I mean, I think with anything, especially this industry, our hobby, everything's so subjective. So one person listening to an album doesn't necessarily mean it's bad to that other person. So, I mean, really, I think we're old enough now. We've been around all these people watching. We have to take everything with a grain of salt. I don't think one person's review is going to stop another person from buying that album at this point. It doesn't do it for me. It actually would motivate me to buy an album if there was a lot of negativity around it. Going back to, what was it, Mazzy, the television controversy with Artist Intent that sold the record out, right? So I mean, in a way,
Exactly.
What is it? Controversy sells. I mean, look at the
Leads,
Kardashians. They're not billionaires because they're talented. They're billionaires because it's controversy, and well, sex sells too, I guess. So yeah.
I don't. I know they want to talk, and I'm sorry, but I don't understand the concept. Again, going back to the forums, I'm talking to you, John Bandy, but not your comment. But the forums where they're saying, well, how come they're not doing a vinyl? Why does every format have to be every release? Sometimes you do a vinyl, sometimes you do a CD, sometimes you do now a reel. I don't care. I don't need everything. I'm a vinyl guy, but I'm also a CD guy sometimes. It doesn't have to be every format. And so I don't understand that kind of response.
Well, sex sells, of course. That's why Mazzy's going to go topless later. Jefferson, what are your thoughts on the reel to reel? You're a huge tape guy. Obviously, when you heard the news, you were pretty excited. I should ask you straight up, $299 per album. It's one reel. It's not two reels like some of the competition out there. Are you buying?
Yeah, I bought the bundle. So yeah.
As a tape guy, were you excited about this opportunity?
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, it's the big criticism about tape, right? Is that there's not any titles available, or if it is, it's Vivaldi, or it's something. It's not rock and roll, right? So slowly but surely, over the last 10, 15 years, we've had companies like the Tape Project, Analogue Productions, and the other companies in Europe start to bring us tape. But it's always that entry barrier, it's been $450, $500 for tapes. Suddenly they went from that to $750, $850, $1,000 over the last couple of years for no apparent reason. I guess COVID, and the cost of tape and everything. But it's a really sweet price point. Yeah, did they make some compromises to do it? They did. They're putting it on 1 mil tape instead of 1.5 mil, so that's +6 max versus +9. You're getting less signal on the tape depending on how they've calibrated everything. So yeah, I mean, is it going to is it going to get more people into the hobby? I hope so, because even at one mil versus 1.5 mil tape, there's not going to be a ton of audible difference. And the problem with higher print through, the higher output tape, is that you have really bad print through. So before I go off on a rabbit trail about that, let me just surmise by saying I'm excited about it. I think the titles are pretty respectable, and I really, really hope it's successful, because it's WME, right? So that, look at what catalog is available. Think about all the things that we've had as Rhino Hi-Fis then coming out in tape. That'd be amazing. But that's my
Again, it's
opinion,
it's
man.
experiment. It's a price point. Obviously, if they came out and did two reels at $500 or $600 each, it'd be less. I think less of a market for it. It's an expensive tape. I mean, look at what Michael has behind. I'm looking at 3 different machines. It's an expensive rabbit hole that not everyone can
it's
be
not
part
for
of.
everyone.
That's why it's LPs and vinyl. So it's a very niche market, and I know that's what, again, like I was mentioning at the top, that's what Rhino Hi-Fi is looking for, is to try to cater to everyone at a budget. I wouldn't say a budget price, but more affordable price than what's out there currently. Now, the duplication masters are done in-house, I was told. I think it's probably written in one of the reviews. And then they were shipped to France to RTM for duplication, Jefferson. And RTM, they make cassette tapes currently, don't they, in France, if I'm not mistaken?
RTM is the last tape manufacturer of actual
reels,
tape. So they make the tape. They've been sold a couple of times over the years, but they own the patents and the formulas and the materials for making reel-to-reel tape and cassette tape, for that matter. So that's who they are. But about a month or so ago, they announced they're going to start doing tape duplications in-house, right, as a service they'd offer. So if you want to run a 20 tapes or 200 tapes, we can do that for you in-house. So so they're leveraging their brand as a tape manufacturer to do duplication in-house. So they basically have 6 machines. The first is a Studer A810, and that's their dubbing machine, and that's their master. They play the master on that. And then there's a bank of 5 PR99s that are respectable broadcast machines that I'm sure they've modified. They're running it through a distribution amp so that each machine gets the same signal. So that's how the duplication is being handled. But that's being handled by RTM in France.
Michael,
And of course,
your thoughts.
yeah.
Well, I want to tag on to what Jefferson said. There is a difference regarding how Analog Productions, Acoustic Sounds, makes their dubs. They daisy chain their machines, one in, one out, one in, one out, one in, one out. They don't have a distribution amplifier. And RTM is actually using a distribution amplifier. Jefferson, I talked to somebody who knows people there, and they told me the same thing. They said like a 1-to-6 ratio or 1-to-5, like you said. One machine going through a distribution amplifier to 5 or 6 machines. So my thoughts, yeah. So I started off about 2 years ago. First off, I used to work in broadcasting in the late '80s, early '90s, mid '90s with reel. So I was used to working with machines, MCI, Otari, Ampex, and Studer at the end. So I was used to working with them, making commercials, making jingles, that kind of stuff. But then about 2 years ago, I decided to start getting back into reel, and originally, I bought an Akai, which is just a consumer machine, 7-inch reels, 4-track. Then I went to this Atari 5050, which is a pretty good entry-level 2-track machine. And this year, I kind of branched out into a couple of other machines, Atari MTR10 and MX55. And the reason I have them next to each other, I'm starting to experiment with duplicating tapes and just learning how to calibrate, that kind of stuff, which it's good to know that, and I'm learning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning about it right now. So I've invested a lot of money in reel this year, and I haven't bought these tapes yet just because of the amount of money I've invested into reel this year. That's I got to get caught up with that first before I start buying master tapes.
So how deep is your hole underneath you there? You've dug a big deep rabbit hole. I see the carrots.
Here's the thing. It depends on who you know. Also, I have friends that restore machines, and if they're a friend of mine, I'm going to get a different price than if I bought it retail, used.
Here's a question.
And, yeah.
Here's a question. Leland's asking, both you guys will know, how does the reel-to-reel setup compare to vinyl setup? Is it much different in terms of your setup than your turntable?
Well, setup's kind of a dangerous question, right? If you mean aligning the machine, cleaning it, getting ready to play tape, versus like setting a cartridge on a head shell, for instance, right? So you do that once and you kind of forget it. But with tape, you need to check things. You may have tapes coming in from different sources, so you do need to be doing a little bit of calibration and alignment as you go. So setup in terms of that, it's a little bit more challenging, which is one of the costs of entry of even getting into it in the first place. There's anyone that tells you there's like set it and forget it, you get the machine, you're never gonna have to do anything. It's probably just not honest. So
it seems like the tape thing in this case is for the people that like to tinker with things, like whether they tinker with a car and like to do their own changes out and upgrades and oil, not just oil, but things beyond that, or my espresso machine where it's a little more like a Fiat. You have to kind of noodle with it. It's not just plug and play for the most part. And with the titles and so few type of things, it's for something that really wants this experience more than, I know I joke about it's the music, but there's like hardly any music to listen to unless you're taping things. And I know people will do needle drops or whatever, how you want to refer to them, taping from their vinyl to reel and play back. And I understand that, but it's a very unusual thing for a big company like this, seemingly to go after, to do it. Don't you think?
Well, like I said before, I mean,
Well,
that's why they're experimenting on this. Jefferson
sorry, I just
as
want
well.
to respond to Mazzy just briefly. I think there's a lot of truth in what you say, but I also think that it's not quite on the level of, tinker, being a shade tree mechanic quite. I mean, it's just a matter of like knowing this tape is NAB, this is IEC, so it's just flip the right switch, sort of like back when we were trying to run a cassette deck, So, but yeah.
And you know what? So the closest you'll get to plug and play, Revox just released a brand new machine called the B77 Mark III, and that one, it's brand new. It's made in Switzerland. It's expensive. It's still $16,000. That's what it costs to make a brand new reel machine. That's the cost.
But they've improved on the design quite a bit.
They've improved the design quite a bit. Yes.
Playback electronics are almost
but if you're not one that likes to tinker, it's kind of set. The calibration is for pre-recorded tapes from Horch House, Acoustic Sounds, and even the new Rhino tapes. And you can plug and play it.
Yeah.
And it's got
Well,
a warranty.
Well, Mazzy, you're like me. I don't have the patience or the time to be doing all this alignment and cleaning of these reel to reels. I mean, some do, and that's
my lack of experience is my young experience, because I was at San Francisco State a broadcasting major and in Memphis audio, so I was literally editing. Then it was mostly quarter-inch tape, physically editing, doing montage, doing things like Michael was doing on radio, and doing these things a lot. So and obviously cleaning heads, aligning things. And I used to know that stuff. The 20-year-old version of myself knew that stuff. Now I wouldn't be caught miles near it at all. But I appreciate that people have the opportunity. Just because it's not right for me, it doesn't mean I'm going to be one of those guys that say, "Why are they fucking doing that?"
I think it's the coolest thing. I think it's
insane.
Great.
I don't know if I could tell you I would, but we're just insane.
In that review, I did read the review that Malachi wrote for Tracking Alien, and out of the two, he thought this was the weaker link of the two. I mean, he didn't hate it. The T-Rex. Ironically, both these records are from 1971.
And here's the other one. Yeah, let's go over what the.
Okay, so Michael, we'll start.
I have a white label.
You got
promo
the Yes album. Is that the original? The Yes album?
Yeah, it's a white label promo. Okay. I found this about 2 years ago in War Ravaged Portland at Everyday Music. I had to battle my way to the store, but I got through the crazy people in Portland and I bought it for. It was only $4.
I'm sure the National Guard helped you to get into the store.
Yeah, so I'm curious about both titles. It doesn't mean I'm not going to get them. I'm just thinking about it right now. So,
well,
it's a lot of money. It is.
Side one of this is a lot of noodling. Side two are the great songs, I think, in my opinion. And I got this is my original 71, but I did want to talk about, because Malachi talks about, first of all, this is the original Fly. This is the best sounding version you can get, but it's a hotter version than the Americans. Malachi talks about the tape. He thought the voice, his singing, was recessed on a couple of tracks. And the way he was describing that, when I listened to these last night and this morning, the original American, this is a 71 US Atlantic, which is probably obviously a copy tape, not the original, like the Fly, the UK Fly, Tony Visconti. This is exactly how Malachi was describing the reel-to-reel tape. In 2017, Kevin Gray did it, and this is closer to the UK, but it's a much wider and warmer soundscape.
So let me stop you right there. So now in December, you're holding up the Kevin Gray 2017. Kevin Gray is
apparently going to do this again.
It's happening. December it will happen. Hi-Fi will come out with Electric Warrior T-Rex. So it'll be exactly the same there with the Obi strip. Assume Kevin would have redone it, probably using his own notes.
2017.
Yeah. It's almost a Hi-Fi.
Yeah, Stout and Tip on.
And you can still get this for about $25, I think.
Oh, really?
It's excellent.
Yeah. That's AAA, no different than what the Hi-Fi will be.
But it's the American tapes, which is like the reel-to-reel apparently is. So the reels are what? Are they third or fourth generation, really?
Be third generation.
Third? And they're flat transfers, though.
Yeah, flat transfers, third generation. Fourth generation?
Okay. I don't think flat transfers.
Well, it depends on one thing that Malachi mentioned in that article is he didn't know if the U.S. master had been dubbed simultaneously as the UK and they just shipped it to America, or if it was a copy of the U.S. master. So presuming it's a copy, so okay, that's one off, and then they're making the production master from that. Oh well, and then so it's going to be third generation minimum on the tape.
But here, I want to clarify one thing too.
Copy. Yeah. Fourth generation on the tape. Yeah.
So you guys, like acoustic sounds, here's one difference. When they make their submaster to make dubs, they make a 30 inches per second, 30 IPS master, which can sound almost indistinguishable from the master at that speed if it's done on a calibrated machine. So some people will call it like a 2.5 instead of a 3. You know what I mean? Have you heard that before, Jefferson, too?
When you bump it up to 30, like a half, they call it a half generation, right? If you bump it up to 30 and half inch from quarter inch. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why, when you listen to a record like this, I mean, the mastering engineer adds something to it, good or bad, but usually good, hopefully. Why would anyone really want a flat transfer? Just for shits and giggles.
It's for the dynamics, hearing it without any compression. So that's why. that's the trade-off. But then there's compromises in terms of the mid-range, and yes, you do want mastering, and for certainly going to vinyl, right? Some people like flat transfers, and usually it's because of the dynamics, right? But it comes down to a personal preference, and I think most people like that, a little bit of compression. I mean, most mastering engineers, will tell you need a little bit of compression, especially at certain frequencies for certain music.
Okay.
But that's why, for the dynamics.
And I'll tell you one more thing. When I first got the Atari 5050, I just experimented with making mixtapes in high res. And there's something that tape adds to the sound that makes you not want to stop listening. Like I made a 30-minute side, and I just wanted to keep listening to my mixtapes more than the streaming version.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain warmth tape adds that's just addicting. You want to keep listening.
Dead quiet. But what about hits?
Yeah.
What about tape hits?
At 50 inches per second, I don't think it's. Do you think it's a big? Do you notice it much, Jefferson? I don't notice it that much. Do you?
I mean, it's not something I listen for. If it's intrusive, then I notice it, right? But it's not necessarily something I listen for. But I run tube amps too. So if you have no source going and you turn it tube amp way up, you're going to hear tube rush or some kind of noise. Why would I do that? So
yeah, I run tube amps too. So
yeah, so in terms of tape hiss, it's like, if it's Dolby A and it's decoded properly, it should be minimized. But tapes wear, and so that may transfer some noise, which may be hiss. I mean, there's only so much you can do with tape, and there's trade-offs for doing any kind of noise reduction.
Bandy saying, question, considering the news, anyone buying the reel-to-reel? Limited to 500. I have we go up too, Matt.
I've got plenty. Thank you.
This guy, yeah. I mean, I know Michael probably is. I'm not into reel-to-reel, right? So again, it's for a niche market, that's for sure. 100% for a niche
acoustic
market.
sounds.
What do you call a niche?
Sounds, yes. they also sell machines that are restored. Did you know that? Chad Katzum? They're called Mara, M-A-R-A. They restore MCI machines full time, for studios and for consumers. And Chad Katzum carries those.
And there's ATR service too out of Seattle. They do it as well. Ampex, yeah. I mean, if you want
there's a guy Jefferson and I know in Canada, in Vancouver, BC, reel-to-reel tech. They also restore machines.
Kurt Palm.
Yeah,
so going back to T-Rex, we know that Rhino Hi-Fi is going to come out in December with the 33 RPM. There's also the MoFi 45 RPM, which I believe, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, is also from Analog Tape. It wasn't a DSD transfer, if I'm not mistaken on that.
And someone says there's Chris says there's a speaker's corner. I have not heard that, so.
We all know, I mean, I know with my experience at Speaker's Corner, that's very, they compress, there's a lot more. So you're going to hear a lot more. I mean, if you're really into bass and whatnot, you're going to hear that more in the Speaker's Corners cut. So that's what I'm always hearing in mine.
If you can find this one, grab it.
What is that one?
This is the UK original.
Can you make it larger, Steve? So
UK Fly. Yeah. Do you have the inner sleeve for that, Mazzy?
I have this, yes.
Yeah, that's them too. That's great.
But I got this accidentally. This is my late friend Coleman is in this collection. So I'm not one always to have to grab everything. But playing this compared to the American, I tell you, I'm giving you, this is breaking news now. My ranking of these three so far. Number 1 is the original Fly. Number 2 is the 2017 Kevin Gray. Number 3 is the US American. But they're all great if you don't compare. But the American one, I think some of the voice is a little recessed, like what Malachi describes on his experience on the tape.
So it's the tape, probably the transferred tape to the US that you're hearing.
And what did Kevin do in 2017 to, I think, improve that? It is a wider soundstage, the Rhino, which, Kevin's right. That's what I said about this was the Sex Pistols or maybe it was Buckingham Nicks. His stuff seems to have a wider soundstage. The Kevin Gray's.
It's his equipment.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And if you like that, I like it, but not, people have different tastes.
Yeah, definitely Kevin's equipment is, definitely has that wider soundstage, that's for sure. Who's saying WKRP guy, Steve, if Rhino put out Sabbath and RTR, would you change your mind? Absolutely not. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. I've got a family, I've got a life. I can only do so much in my day. There's only so many hours in the day. There's so many hours in the day.
Do you think any one title is really going to make someone dive into.
Well, I had some
$20,000
people
worth of gear?
DM me going, Steve,
Well,
do you think it's going to be the
the
Led Zeppelin reel to reel box?
Okay,
Well,
right,
no,
right.
they're not going to do the box before the vinyl, the tape box before a vinyl set of that, just because of overall market, right, and where the market is. Come on.
But to answer your direct question, what would make someone jump in? The Led Zeppelin box set, the road case, but with reels.
Yeah,
That
yes
would
and
do
no.
it.
I had the road case here for 6 months that I was selling for Coffee Dave. And I did not like it.
I wouldn't jump in if Led Zeppelin.
It was,
Well, I
a
mean,
couple of
you
things
know,
are okay, but it's
yeah.
like it's too
more
much.
the mystique at this point in terms of like
One-sided 45 RPM with manila envelope type of
Right.
headers.
I have the baby box of that with just the 45 of Stairway to Heaven, and 1 through 4. So
Mazzy, you're gonna get Mazzy's not getting a reel to reel to hear the veiled Electric Warrior. He's not doing it. He's not going down that rabbit hole. I promise you. I promise you on that. Dave, it looks like Dave's buying them. He's looking forward to these two. He says
Hey,
it's great
Dave.
to see a major label release tape. So Dave, I think, is buying.
Yeah,
shout out to Dave, man. I hope
I
you
think
feel
it's
better,
great.
buddy.
I think it's great when people are into something like this, and that's why I don't understand the people say, "Oh, that they shouldn't do that." Why are they going that direction? So what? Why is it? What business is it of yours? To quote from Annie Hall, the universe is expanding.
I'm happy.
There's always going to be haters, no matter what it is. There's
It's
going to be
ridiculous.
plenty of
It's
haters.
the internet, right? Yeah.
And Hanlon's Law is just around the corner at any given moment.
So the new
Right.
Rhino reel to reel, they ran the first 250 each, and then I guess from there max 500. They'll see how it sells. But I will say, if you guys missed from the top, I can tell you they're very pleased with the sales or the pre-sales or pre-orders so far, better than they expected. If that
When
makes
are these
sense.
supposed to ship?
I don't know. Maybe Jefferson knows that he already purchased them.
Yeah,
and
I don't know. I
say-
haven't got a tracking notice yet.
And I will say it's going to be, if they do another reel to reel, it's going to be another band, and it won't be Led Zeppelin, but it's going to be another band. Yeah. But no, I'm not. It's not going to. Even if it was a Led Zeppelin reel to reel box, I wouldn't be going out running to spend more money on tape machines. I just steal one from Michael.
Would he notice? How long would it take him to know it was missing?
Not very long. I mean,
Okay. I have a question for you, Jefferson, because I did read, again, going back to Malachi. That's the only firsthand experience I've heard. There was, I was in I just got back from LA, and I went to last night. I guess what night are we on? 2 nights ago. The John Lennon Power to People Dolby Atmos listening room. Their theater on Hollywood. It was great. But it was the same night, another part in Santa Monica, where they had the listening party in LA version of that of the tape thing. And so he's talking about these tapes, and he really gets in the weeds, which is good, because people, I think, like you, who are into it want to know this stuff. Well, maybe they didn't play it on the right machine, and I mean, he was kind of qualifying some of his opinions of maybe this wasn't the right machine to play it on. What's your take on that kind of review? I mean,
this was the machine they played it on down here.
Hang on, stop. So show us, what machine did they play it on yesterday?
That's an Atari 5050. This is
Right.
an entry level Atari, Jefferson, right? Entry level.
It was their workhorse, right? It's what radio
Workhorse.
stations used in broadcast facilities, and it was so good that a lot of times mastering facilities used it too. But it was what was known as a prosumer deck. Not a studio deck, and not a consumer deck, but somewhere in the middle. But as I say in my How to Get Into Tape video, or Is It Worth It video, it's a great machine for starting on, because it'll do everything you need. But in terms of your question, Mazzy, I mean, there's so many variables, right? And like Michael T said, it's a good but kind of entry level machine, so it's good. It's a good entry level machine, but is it the machine that you would have in that kind of system with the D'Agostino? I'm butchering his name. Sorry, speaker.
Yeah, Dan D'Agostino.
Dan D'Agostino. Thank you.
6-figure amplifiers, right? They're 6-figure amplifiers.
And those are big Wilson. I can't remember the model, but Chronosonics or something. So this no analogy is great, right? But it's in a way, It's like, okay, you've got this beautiful racetrack, and it's Le Mans, right? And you've got a lovely sports car, this Ferrari, right? So let's evaluate the performance of this Ferrari. Okay, but wait, hold on. Let's take these mud tires, right, and this lift kit, and put on the Ferrari. Okay, let's go put it through its paces, right? It's you're basically the Ferrari is unable to reveal its full capability because of the limitations of the tires that you put on. Not the best analogy,
Right.
but sort of in the direction of my opinion about that in terms of your question, Mazzy.
But
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does totally. But if you're
Okay.
playing, my question then maybe is to Rhino and to the people that set these listening parties up. And I don't know if it was same in LA and in New York, but if you're doing a listening party for something very special like this, you want to get the best friggin' gear and the best thing that represents that, you know. And I'm not saying it's a Crosley or something, but you want to put like one of those all-in-one boxes.
By any means.
To
But
the
it's not the best. It's not revealing.
So you think
everything that's there,
the
right?
better reel-to-reel player to
like a Studer, a restored Studer would go in there.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
let me just talk. Like, but it's sometimes, I mean, for me, I listen to a record. It takes me 2 or 3 sort of goes to really appreciate it. So you're listening to 1 or 2 tracks and then making an opinion on how it sounds. Is that fair? I mean, I listened to it. Listen to the first 2 tracks. Here's what it sounds like. I think you need to really get involved and invested into that actual album or that actual reel to reel and really go through it to really understand it, because it might change for you the second pass. Any thoughts?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? No.
Yeah, and maybe
totally.
if they had that T-Rex remaster from Kevin Gray on hand to compare, that would have been
you can't
something to
judge.
do.
I can't judge any record from one listen to, because you never. I mean, sometimes when you like something right away, you realize maybe it gets boring faster, and sometimes when you build up, going back to let's make this a Hoffman Forum thing, and let me talk about the Beatles for a second. First time 13-year-old ears that June in '67 heard Sgt. Pepper, I'd never heard anything that sounded like that record. And I didn't know what I was experiencing. I loved it, but it was like, this is why. Even the feel of the sound of the recording, there was a studio feel that I remember that was not on any previous Beatle record. And obviously, I was playing that record then 3 times every day for a month or something back then. So you need to hear these any kind of new music or new experience, like your own stereo. You get a new pair of speakers or something. You want to listen, dive into your collection again, and you hear things. You hear the music you have in a different way, I think. At least that's my experience.
Mr. George Borden's watching. In a studio environment, a tape will have an alignment tones on it. This allows another studio machine to be calibrated for playback. Thank you, George.
And George is absolutely right. Hey, George, hope you're well, buddy.
Nice to see him.
That's one thing that I've always asked for when I trade tapes with people, and like people like the Tape Project used to provide an alignment reel. Basically, they send you a set of tones that are ran on the same machine that did the duplication of the tapes, right? So there's slight variations from machine to machine, especially at the low frequencies. So even though you may be perfectly aligned to like the IEC standard, you'll have issues. So if you have the tones reel, then you can align your machine exactly to the machine that the tapes were made on. So, it's just one of these things that quite, helps optimize playback, and it is another tinkering thing, Mazzy. So, but yeah, tones are important.
So Chuck T is asking, are there any companies making new reel-to-reel machines, halfway decent ones? Who wants to answer that?
Yes is the answer, right, Jefferson?
Yes.
I've actually heard the Revox B77 Mark III. My friend Ed at Audio Ultra decided to carry it, so it's a nice sounding machine. Very nice.
And there's United Home Audio, and then there's a bunch of different companies that
there's one in France too.
Classic machines.
Do they all play 10.5-inch reels?
Yes.
Yes, minimum. Yeah.
What's the one in France? I forget the name, Jefferson. That's a good machine too.
Lead tape recorder.
Le tape. Pepe Le tape. Yeah, but there's companies out there doing it. The Revox B77 is the one that's probably the most turnkey one that's out there. But it's also $16,000. So, I mean, I think if you're curious about reel to reel and you want to get into it, I don't think you need to jump off at that level. I think you have to have a good tech or know how to work on a machine yourself, and you can buy one used and get it refurbished, and then you can see, how you like it or not. And I did a video about this, about if you want to get into reel to reel and how to find a machine. But in terms of the new turnkey machines, they're totally out there, but you're going to pay up for them, and that's fine. But just be prepared for that.
And it's interesting they mentioned that these arrive tails out, so you have to rewind them to start playing them, which is a good thing. From my old experience, my novice going back.
Do you guys know why that is? It's because when you rewind at a different tension, you're more likely to have print through on the tape. When you play it tails out, it's less likely to be tightly wound.
Right.
But here's the other reality where people are saying the Revox machine, it's handmade in Switzerland. That's why it's costly. But the reality is there's audiophiles that are spending that on a cartridge nowadays.
Yeah. Or phono stage.
Or phono stage, exactly.
Yeah. They're spending, $10,000 on a phono stage. It's like, okay.
Can you save money like flying to Switzerland, buying one there, and driving it across and shipping it back like a Volkswagen?
What I would do, Danzig, I just go buy a Volvo, put it in the back of the Volvo.
That's exactly the whole buy and drive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Or go to where the Audis are made, or.
But the other point we should bring up to Jefferson and Mazzy and Steve is that most consumer machines that were made in the 70s and early 80s won't play the half-track tapes. Those were called 4-track machines. They played tapes in both directions. They had auto reverse.
Yeah, I had the only reel to reel I ever owned was a Tandberg, and that would have been in the 70s. And
Norway, made in Norway.
Yes. Those are sweet sounding machines.
It was a 7-inch. I don't think it played 10 inches. No.
Yeah. But there's no parts for those.
Couple models, but
yeah. Those you can't get parts for.
Okay. Right, but to piggyback on your comment, Michael, those consumer tapes that we all saw in the 70s, those were four track, not 2-channel 4-track, but basically side A, left and right, were tracks 1 and 3. They go this way, and then side 2, left and right, were tracks 2 and 4 going that way.
And they were more prone to crosstalk.
It was very
because of
yeah. I mean, that was
is when you hear the other side. Yeah.
Right. Much worse there. But not like an 8-track.
Nope.
I'm impressed how smart George Borden is.
So George Borden, one layer of tape bleeds into the one next to it. If stored tails out, the bleed happens after the sound instead of in front of it.
Well, George recorded on tape. He's an experienced engineer.
George taught at an engineering school. He knows
exactly.
Forgotten more than most people will.
Let me ask you a question, and this may or may not show up once people started getting these things. We all know in vinyl, we all know in CDs, someone gets something and there's a pressing error and there's a warp and there's a disc. What's the chances of you getting something and there's a glitch in a professionally, reel-to-reel tape like this? Does that happen?
I mean,
is there a big stamp that says "Do not put in your magnets when shipping"?
Oh yeah. And there's always a disclaimer that says, we assume you have a properly set up machine and know how to operate it, and we're not responsible for basically operator error if you snap your tape because your transport's fucked up. But anyway, and they do have a do not magnetize with.
Look at that! Wow.
We should all do that.
So I assume it has leader too. Is it special? You froze out there for a second, Jefferson.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah,
Rhino leader at the front.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it has a custom Rhino leader. It'll have leader of some sort. But in terms of defects, I've never encountered one in terms of anything that affected the music. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The closest I've come to something like that was on one of the recent Bob Marley tapes, where you basically, they record side 1, and then whenever the master finishes, the reel just runs out until it gets to the end of that length of tape, right? So on one of the Bob Marley reels, the side finished, and then the tapes were still recording, the dubbing tapes, but then at the master machine, they started rewinding the master, and you could hear the tape scrubbing on the recording as the master was being rewound, if that makes sense.
And
that's
that
not
was
really
that was not
a
Matthew
defect.
Luthen's. Yeah,
That-
it was a different person
no, it
running
was
the
not
machine.
Matt Luthen's. It
It
was
was they
not.
had somebody else. They had somebody
It
else
was a
due to the volume.
local engineer in Salina
Yeah,
that
due to
did
the
that.
volume of there was a lot of demand for those tapes, so they outsourced
I think it's
it.
great to have you
Right.
experts here and a novice like me, because
But-
I think there's going to be people that have no clue what this is about.
Well, and this is the thing. Here's
Well,
what the 2002 Sprocket says: a good turntable phono stage, she says, will eat a subpar tape machine. There's some.
Agree.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
nothing worse than a misaligned tape
Mhm.
machine, and they're trying to play back, and it's like sounds like crap.
And besides alignment, tones for frequency, the head alignment, all that stuff.
Exactly.
Not only that, I'll tell you one more thing. About 2 months ago, we did a comparison over at Audio Ultra. I know this guy Ed in Seattle here, and he has an SAT turntable, which is a very, very expensive table. And we listened to lacquers versus master tapes, and the lacquers in some cases sounded better because of the playback electronics Bernie Grunman or Kevin Gray have in their studio versus the machines that are not custom made playback. You know?
Were
Isn't that
those
the key? Oh, go ahead.
lacquers mastered, Michael? Were those Mike?
Yeah, it was the end
Were
of
there-
the song.
So that, but the
Four
tape
Seasons
was
of Jazz.
unmastered, correct?
I have to go back and remember
Oh.
what we did. There was quite a few we listened to. Well, maybe 4 or 5. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was
But you can
curious about
actually
that.
hear the quality of the playback electronics that these
Nice.
engineers have in their studio that are all they're custom. They're not off the shelf.
Yeah, no, I know.
Well, it's definitely going to be a niche market. I mean, we can talk about this all day. Some
Mhm.
will buy into it. Some have already bought into it. Look at Michael behind you. I know, Jefferson, when I talk to you, I mean, you're a huge enthusiast of reel to reel, and I respect and admire that. I just don't have the patience for it. Maybe the technical patience as well for it as well. So for me, I'm excited that for you guys that are enthusiasts of reel to reel, that Rhino's come up with more of an affordable option for everyone going
Yeah,
forward. And like I said before, they're testing the market. They're just looking at it right now, going, okay, hey, it sold more than we thought so far, just based on the last 2 days. And if it goes as planned, I know what their number is. They will then release another album.
It's all relative, isn't it? Thinking that $300 for one record is for one piece of music is affordable these
30,
days.
40
Yeah,
years
no.
ago, 30, 40 years ago, you know, if there's a time travel that came from 1970 listening to this stuff now, he or she'd be like, what are they talking about? $300 album to listen to the Yes album? Come on.
Well, at least it comes.
Seriously?
It seems to come in the appropriate box, not something that's 3 times the size of the item inside. I think that is a plus.
So let's move forward here. I mean, we can talk reel to reel. I know that was our big topic. We've done a lot of talking on that one. Couple things too. I just wanted to, have you guys, I mean, obviously Ozzy Osbourne passed this summer, July of this year. But Paramount Plus, guys, came out, and I'll put it up here. There it is. Came out with this here. This is Ozzy Osbourne, No Escape from Now. It's pretty much a documentary of his life the past, I don't know, was 3 or 4 years leading up to the final concert back in July. And it's a real cool look. It says an intimate look at Ozzy's final act. It really is, I think, almost a love story between Ozzy and Sharon as well. It really was incredible 2 hours to watch. He's just a sweet man. He really is a sweet man, considering, he was sort of the one that started heavy metal, but overall his personality, a sweet man. And I just felt true love between Sharon and Ozzy throughout that documentary. Now one can argue, it was a documentary, they edited whatever, but it really was emotional, and one of those documentaries that I couldn't stop from beginning to end. It was really well done, and anyone that's a Sabbath or Ozzy fan needs to watch this now, streaming on Paramount Plus. Incredible. Rest in peace. Have you guys seen it?
I watched it last night, and it was stunning. I loved it. And yeah, it's just like
it's a love story. It really
breaks
is.
your heart.
It does.
And I would almost add it's a love story between him and Sharon and him and his fans, because, basically, without giving too much away, he gets sick and it gets worse, and he's like suddenly like, okay, I don't know. I was very moved by it.
Well, Jose says the doc was very depressing. I think life can be depressing. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, they followed his life pretty much the last 3 or 4 years up until his death. I mean, up until that concert. So yeah, you could sort of see him. I don't know how many years back they were following. I think it was a few, and you could just see him just declining health-wise, mentally. You could just see it throughout, as it progressed throughout that 2-hour documentary. So
it'd be like 3 years after the back surgery, and you're like, or 6 months later, and you're, damn.
And there is some scenes where, I mean, he's literally can't walk. Like you look like he's going to fall over. Brutal. But anyways, definitely watch it. If you're a Sabbath Ozzy fan, it's a must watch. Mazzy's going to watch it tonight. Give us a full report video on that, please.
I don't have Paramount Plus.
Oh, okay.
I don't either.
You can get it for
free.
You can get it for free for 7 days on Amazon if you want, Mazzy, just so you know.
Yeah. You know what happens when you do those free things? All of a sudden you look at your credit card bill 6 months later and there's 30 different subscriptions.
Well, that's the thing with these with Amazon. Be careful with Amazon too. It's hard to like cancel your subscription once you get the 7 day. You're like, hey, you can't use the app. You can't do this.
They'll give you free. Here, little boy, you want some of this heroin? You know, it's free.
First one's always free.
Here's some candy, young man. There's what it is. Okay, so watch it if you don't. If you're like Mazzy, he's not going to watch it because he can't afford it.
I will see it eventually. I'll see it.
It's really good. I mean, it is emotional. It's definitely a love letter to. It's a love story between Sharon, his family, and of course his fans. Absolutely,
I'm still
heartbreaking.
Kind of getting myself up the courage to watch like 4 hours of Billy Joel documentaries.
It's really good too. I did that in sections. I didn't just do that out of the gate. Some of I have to choose my time, right? So I'll do that in sections. Sometimes I watch shows that 4 or 5 hour documentaries. I'll do it in 1 hour increments, that type of thing.
Steve, the other big announcement was another reissue of Kind of Blue, right?
Okay, let me talk about that. So I have it up on screen right now. Can you guys see it right now? So Kind of Blue, corrected speed, limited edition, blue vinyl, Miles Davis Kind of Blue, Analogue Productions, coming October 31st, $75, 180 gram LP, 33 and a third edition. Side 4 will be a 45 RPM. So side 1 was speed corrected for recording adjustment. I was under the impression,
Don't we
guys.
have that already?
Can you please tell me something? Was that not adjusted years ago? Like, was that whole thing not adjusted?
Yeah, I have the same
ago?
release, the exact
1991 to be exact.
I'm not understanding. I'm not. Hang one second. I'm not understanding that. I think it was 1992. Sound engineer Mark Wilder discovered the anomaly in the original 3-track tape and used a correct speed safety tape to create speed corrected versions of the album starting in the late 90s. So many modern reissues, especially from Sony Legacy imprint, feature the speed corrected audio from the master tapes. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So that's not really a headline then that we should.
No,
I'm just not understanding it.
So what about the UHQRs that came out? Were they not speed corrected?
So here's what I'm reading about that. Listen. A minor audio complication with Kind of Blue has been addressed with our UHQR edition, and now with this 33 and a third RPM double LP reissue. So it was addressed with the UHQR edition.
It was addressed.
It was. That's what it's saying here. Unless I'm reading
otherwise, I want to return my UHQR for a credit towards this one.
Yeah, it has been addressed with the UHQR.
Okay, well then we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Classic Records actually issued the exact same title in 1995. I bought it. So mine has a back then I paid $45.98 for it, but it's literally the exact same thing. So you have side 1 where it says original speed, then you have side 2, then you have side 3 corrected speed, and you have side 4 at 45 RPM. Flamenco Sketches.
Mazzy,
same release.
That may have been the last time the incorrect speed was pressed, too.
Mazzy, when you were in the studio watching that recording, do you remember if it was original speed or original stereo mix?
Well, I was on speed, so I don't know what.
Sorry,
Miles was on junk.
So when you were there in 1920, was your speed originally too fast or too slow?
What
was
year
it corrected speed?
Correct. What year was that recorded?
1958,
58, 57, 58. Yeah.
I was around and I was on this planet, but I was 3 years old or something.
So anyone buying? We need more Kind of Blue. It's only what did I say it was? 750.
Here again, this is the answer that I would give to anyone. If that's the right speed, and how much is this thing costing?
It's $75 for 4 LPs. Side 4 is 45 RPM.
Why is it Why is it 4
Because you're
LPs?
getting flamenco sketches, alternate take
Oh,
for
you're
9
getting
minutes and
extra shit.
32
Okay,
seconds.
So you're getting the wrong speed and the correct speed
Hey,
for
well,
side one.
it's still half the price of a UHQR about. So yes, it should be in print and it should be available. So all the power to it. Now, I don't need it.
And it's blue vinyl, limited to 1,500.
I think it's always good to have these records in print and whatever. So I'm not like as cynical as I am about a lot of shit. All the power. Not everyone owns that record, despite what we think, right?
It is the best-selling jazz record of all time.
Yeah. So we
It's
keep
the gateway
like
drug to
rumors.
jazz.
It's the jazz rumors. So keep it in print and keep doing it.
You know what they need to do that they haven't done yet for Kind of Blue? They got to do what Taylor did. Do a orange sparkle gold. This is what they got to do for Kind of Blue. Orange sparkle gold. Like Taylor
I
Swift.
find that's
Why not?
it's a novelty, but I was watching a video somewhere where there was a European guy talking about vinyl and sort of the sales of records, and he says most of them are from younger people buying vinyl today, not the older generation. So I don't know if that's where that stat comes from. I didn't see any stat from it.
Country Buddy, the problem I find with these kind of things, it's always been in print. He says, when has this record not been in print? He's actually correct. But if you go, most people who are not, quote, experts like all these vinyl people here, probably, they go into a store, they have no idea if it's a Dole, a Kind of Blue, or if it's a Columbia digital Kind of Blue. You just don't know. And it's overwhelming. You're right. I mean, it'd be great if there's only 133 and 145 and that's it. But that ain't going to happen.
No, exactly. Okay, so next I've got more news here. I mean, I'm not sure how many are fans of Danzig, but their first four studio albums reissued on vinyl. So are you guys fans? Michael, Jefferson? Anyone?
I've seen Danzig live. I think he played with White Zombie. I'm trying to remember that.
Yep.
He opened
Remember,
for
he was
White Zombie.
part of the Misfits back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it was Rick Rubin sort of discovered, I think it was Rick Rubin discovered them. So lots of folks are excited to get Danzig's first four studio albums reissued on vinyl, which is really exciting. And I mean, it's not my genre, but a lot are out there excited about it. I got a lot of DMs about this as well. So
who was issuing that? Do you know? Because that was American Recording. So I wonder who owns it now.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, here's the. I guess this is one of the press releases here on October the 9th. It's going to include gatefold jackets, printed sleeves, and come on black standard weight vinyl. So that's all it says. I don't know anything about it. I don't know who the master engineer is and what the sources are. I can assume, but you know what assuming does. But any fans of this, you guys? You guys have any of these records?
I don't have a lot of Rob Zombie. Or sorry, Glenn Danzig. There you go.
Yeah. Not Rob Zombie, but I mean, if you're a Misfits fan, I remember Misfits back in the day. I had I think I had the Misfits cassette, and that's where this is derived from as well. And I know when Rick Rubin discovered these guys, he wanted to change up the band members and just have Danzig as the lead singer and get rid of the rest of the guys, right? I don't think that's the way it worked. I didn't realize that Danzig's like 5'3" either. So the little guy. Interesting. No interest in that? Not our genre? But anyways, lots are interested in it, guys.
And actually, Rob Zombie reissued a record about a week ago, glow in the dark green vinyl. I think it's Hellbilly Deluxe.
So you can find it in the dark, huh?
I think what is with Danzig, there's been a lot of bootlegs for years and years is the issue, and I think that's where the excitement is. I think someone posted that right here. WKRP is saying he's had Danzig boots for years. Nice to see official release. Fans of the music from my youth. So there is a huge market for sort of that metal sound, right? I think that's one area where vinyl has not really, these record companies haven't really gotten there yet. There's a lot of opportunity there, I feel.
A lot of those Danzig 45s go for huge money too on the secondary market just because there's so few of them. But yeah, tons of bootlegs too.
Well, $100 for a Danzig versus 10 times as much for all the originals.
Yeah.
And that's good, I guess.
Yeah, it's not super familiar.
No, I mean, again, there's a lot out there that are excited about that. It's not like I said, I was more of a fan of the Misfits before that, but hey, back on vinyl for the first time, no more bootlegs, and get them at a pretty decent price.
Hey, since I don't do rants anymore on your shows.
Well, we haven't been on for a while. We haven't talked about the rants.
Can I do a Beatle 3 minutes or 2 minutes?
A Beatle. Well, okay. First of all, I mean, last time we chatted, we were talking Monobox back in the summertime. We
Well,
did Anthology 4, which is going to be a separate release. Is that something we want to talk about?
No, I want to. I was in Los Angeles for 30 hours, and I just got back last
Wow.
night. And I know it was fun. And I went to a nondescript former porno theater on Hollywood Boulevard and Vine that is owned and run by Dolby, and it's their Atmos surround projection, and it's an amazing sounding theater. And while across town, they were listening to the Rhino
Simultaneously.
I listened to excerpts, an hour presentation plus a Q&A that Jim Keltner was there, the drummer who played on the one-on-one. I want to say, there's all this controversy about missing the song on that woman is the X of the world and all that stuff. But the live show, they showed these clips, and I haven't seen the whole one-to-one remastered thing. They did like a magical job remixing this entire performance. I have the 1986 Lennon New York Live. Think about this. John Lennon, the only show he did live, a full show, was the one-to-one concerts in 1972 at Madison Square Gardens. These were totally remixed. And seeing John Lennon's two songs especially, Well, Well, Well from his first album and Cold Turkey, he's got this command. His voice is great. The band, which I hated, the Elephant Memories band, the mix on this is incredible. It's like proto-punk in a way. And even the Yoko stuff, Yoko's in a good light, I think. And I'm a fan of Yoko. Talking about her DNA from working with Ornette Coleman and the John Cage and the avant-garde stuff. This is a powerful thing. But seeing John, how comfortable he is, yet going through that primal therapy singing those songs, it's incredible. Like, what if John had continued? We don't get that. But this is the 4 LP set, which is excellent. This is just the one-to-one concert, not any of the studio stuff from the New York sessions, sometime in New York. Political as hell. But this show, I think there is a hybrid CD and vinyl, 2 records, that is the best of the afternoon and evening show. And that's the way to get at least. I just think it's an incredible document, too. And hearing John Lennon rocking out and intense at that moment in time when he was about to, going through the whole immigration thing at the time. So I just want to say that is,
there you go.
Yeah, I killed the Danzig talk with Beatles stuff, but I highly recommend it. And
I love the fact we go from talking reel to Kind of Blue to Danzig, to
Well,
Ozzy Osbourne to Danzig, back to Yoko Ono.
I don't have
What does
experience
she
in
sing?
Atmos.
What
I
does
don't
she
have
do?
experience
Mazzy?
in Atmos around.
There's Yoko Ono.
I don't have experience in that. And hearing that in that theater was like, oh my God, I want to, I'm not going to do it at home, but I want to hear every type of movie like this in that theater. It was that good. So
better than Supertramp.
Yes.
The logical song is it better than the logical song? Man?
Yes.
So the theater's running an Atmos mix or its own thing?
It's the Atmos mix.
Atmos.
They do. I think
standard.
There's 2 different Dolby things in movie theaters and things. And this is it's a private venue. You can't buy tickets and walk in. There's no sign outside. It's like an old closed up movie theater. You think you're walking into some sketchy thing, and it's beautiful inside. The little reception there, and there, it was invited, I guess, Radio Record and YouTube and people like that. Maybe 80 people or something. Not a big theater. One of those smaller theaters. Oh, sorry. My ringtone is So anyway, I thought it was great. Elliot Mintz was there, and if you know Andrew Sandoval, who did the Monkees, Rhino Hi-Fi, did all the Monkees stuff.
Is Mintz shorter than Danny DeVito? Is the question.
And the Sunshine Pop stuff, and the he did the Kinks mono box and all that. He was there too. So I've known him but never met him in person. So it was just a nice thing. And hearing that stuff, I was blown away. Yes, I'm a Lennon fan. I'm partial John Yoko fan, but it was amazing.
So before we wrap up, what else are you guys excited about coming out in the next few months? Of course, we have Electric Warrior, Rhino Hi-Fi LP out in December. There will be possibly one other goodie that will be released around that same time for Rhino. Not Led Zeppelin or the Smiths.
You said there's a box set coming?
possibly. And it could
Is
be.
that what you said?
I didn't say that. There's possibly
I
something
thought you
coming.
said that one of your teasers. No,
No.
someone did.
There's a lot of things coming down the pipeline. I've learned
Yeah.
from that whole Monkeys release, because I had the Monkeys for a while and it wasn't getting released at the same time, and there was some pushback from management or whatever, however it works in negotiations. So they couldn't release it the same day as the Sex Pistols. And someone had asked me at the top why I haven't done a show on the Monkeys album. I'm not a big Monkeys fan. That makes a lot of sense. I'm not. If I liked the Monkeys, I would have done a show. I'm not a huge fan of it. I did listen to the record once. I thought it sounded. I had nothing to compare it to because honestly, I've never owned a Monkeys record.
It's very good, and it's better than any other Monkeys. But I've
There you
been
go.
a fan of the Run Out Groove. That was a division of Rhino and Warner's, and they've been putting out the first 3 records between Rhino and Run Out Groove that Andrew Sandoval and Kevin Gray have done, and those are excellent. So I know that
Yeah.
the first 3, and if you're a Monkeys fan, there's no better stereo versions than these.
I'm getting chastised right now. Take it back, Steve. But I mean, I'm not a Monkeys fan. That's just my
Every
thing. It's
release
subjective.
doesn't have to be for everyone.
Yeah.
These people in these forums that think, why did they put out Graham Parsons and Emmylou and Wilco?
Because they're
We
great
want more
fucking
Black
albums. That's
Sabbath.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
obviously,
why.
and we know the Monkeys is limited to 5,000. It's definitely not sold out. Lots to sell out. Lots to buy yet. But it's not for everyone, right? I mean, that gets back to what I was talking about before about the next generation of vinyl enthusiasts, and that goes back to my point about Danzig as well. It's coming back on vinyl. There's a lot of people out there. They're going to buy those first 4 albums. Maybe not me, maybe not Mazzy or Michael T or Jefferson, but there's a huge market for it. We can't forget that. Not everyone.
25 million.
Not
records.
everyone's listening to freaking Steely Dan or Led Zeppelin or the Beatles these
Or
days. I mean,
Supertramp.
it's a certain demographic.
Monkeys had 3 #1 records in 1967.
Yeah.
They sold more records in 67 than the Beatles sold. I know that's not a barometer of greatness, but those are great musicians on those records too, along with the Monkeys, and great songwriters. So it's too bad people have to defend that music and it's very country oriented more than psychedelic. It's a good record.
See, Rick's is like, rate the Monkeys out of 10. I don't know. How good is it? Like you're talking the album itself. I can't rate it.
Or the musicians.
Music
the
or
musicians.
sound quality?
The sound, I think he's talking the Rhino Hi-Fi record.
I think the
Mazzy.
sound's a 9 and music's a 9.
Okay.
But compared to other versions, and I have an original mono, original stereo, and I did have some of the reissues of the mono records. This is the best stereo version ever. So compared to any other stereo version, in fact, they do it in the quote here. They've never cut this record in stereo from original master tapes. Back in Coal Gems, back in RCA, back in 67, they made 3 master cuts that went out to the pressing plants, and they were cut from tape copies back then. So
there you go, gentlemen. We're gonna leave it at that. That's a lot to take in for one morning. Reel-to-reel tape. Ozzy Osbourne, Kind of Blue, another reissue. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. Everyone that's watching, thank you. I finally lined up an interview with a very famous guest that I'm trying to nail down dates right now. He was in a big band at one time. So I won't name it because every time I do that, it sort of jinx myself. But I will say that I'm working hard behind the scenes to get some cool people coming up to talk about their music. So if that happens, you'll see it up on my channel and you'll hear about it. But that'll be fun to get that
Vanilla
possibly
Ice?
live. It's not
Vanilla
Vanilla.
Ice?
It's not Vanilla Ice. It's
Oh, darn.
someone that was in a big band from the 1970s.
Oh.
If it happens. And the next show, guys, I don't know who will be on, but our friends from Cooking Vinyl.
Oh.
You know Cooking Vinyl? Jeff Sadler from Cooking Vinyl.
I met those guys when I was in London last time.
I have a few test pressings of the Cooking Vinyl's iRobot that I'm going to be giving away on the show, and it's actually autographed personally by Alan Parsons for our
Wow.
viewers.
Nice.
So I have those as well. I haven't been able to set up how I'm going to go about giving those away. I'm going to come up with some ideas. I'll show them on the next show as well. So even Mazzy, if you want one, you can put your name in the hat when we do the.
No, I think I shouldn't be part of that. But I love what they put out. They've done the Billy Bragg stuff. They did the Camper Van.
I like the Billy Bragg stuff. So I mean, again, the stuff is Miles Scholl half speed mastered.
They do good
So
stuff.
whatever you want to talk, say about that. But anyways, there's no Led Zeppelin updates. I can promise you right now, Jimmy's still not answering his phone. Okay.
Single-minded.
And I'm not giving
Come on,
away
Leland.
Danzig,
You gotta-
but I'm giving away
be relentless.
iRobot. I'm giving
Relentless.
away iRobot test pressings. It's on I think it's on BioVinyl, just so everyone knows as well. It's on the BioVinyl. So that'll
Some
be
people
interesting
call
as well.
that bile vinyl.
There you go. But yeah, I did confirm there will be a guest coming on that's not Jimmy Page on my show to talk about his career. He's in his late 70s to 80s, and from the 70s is when he was famous, even into the 80s. Still doing it today. So won't name him because every time I do this, it doesn't work for me. This will be, so this time maybe it will work if I just don't mention the name or the band.
Barry Manilow.
He's still alive?
Yeah, he performs.
Anyways.
I follow him. He's had to cancel a
At
lot
the
of shows
Copa.
lately.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. But yeah, we'll talk next week, guys. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a
Go
good weekend.
Mariners.
Oh, one more thing. It's Canadian
yeah.
Thanksgiving here on Monday.
Happy
So
Thanksgiving.
us Canadians are celebrating Thanksgiving on Monday. Kind of weird. I know as an American, you guys do it the third Thursday of November of every year. We do it, I think, around second week of October. I'm not sure how it works, but yeah, it's our Thanksgiving. And I'm a Blue Jays fan, so it's going to be huge. Mariners versus the Blue Jays. A lot of Vancouverites are going down to the Mariners to watch the Jays sweep them in 4.
I don't really care because the American League is a junior league anyway.
There
They
you
don't
go.
count.
It's going to be good. Go Blue Jays all the way.
Giants.
Guys, thanks. Have a good weekend.
Have a good one, guys.
Oh.